Someone can pretend that they hate you. Somebody can pretend that they are bigger than you. Somebody can pretend that they have achieved a lot more than you. But trust me, if you are great, you are going to ooze an aura that is going to be making them jealous. However much they are bragging that they have done a lot, however much they are bragging that they have achieved a lot of things. This happens even in real life. Brothers and sisters, white folks are sharing that they are jealous of black people. All along, it has been jealous. It has always been jealous. It has always been jealous that black folks have something that they have always wanted, but they cannot get it. And I told you, majority of the times when you see white people portray themselves as greater, portray themselves as people who have invented a lot of things, portray themselves as people who have achieved a lot of things, 90% of the time, it is usually that they are projecting something that they don't have. See, you can go ahead and lie to everyone. But one thing that you cannot do is that you cannot lie to yourself. Go do everything. Go lie to everyone. But at the end of the day, you'll sit in the darkness and say that, you know what? I'm not great. I'm not great the way I think I am. This happens to white people. I don't know how often they open up about this, but this happens to them. When I take you back to history, when black genes were not appreciated, when having babies with a black person was a problem. Do you remember those times? Those were times of Jim Crow. This all tells you it has always been jealousy. But right now, if you could just imagine how the black genes are so much desired, in fact, the melanin that black folks have, so much desired, will tell you that it has always been jealousy. Brothers and sisters, welcome, and I want you to watch this video, and then I'll be back. I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Agent Stories. So let's get into it. I'll be back.
I think I figured out racism. White people are just jealous of colored people because black is a dominant gene. Scientific fact. Why do you think you always hear white people say shit like, oh, I look so ugly pale, I need to go outside and get some color? Why do you think they invented shit like the spray tan? And as we've seen, that ain't for everybody. Why do you think they invented shit like the tanning bed? Two white people get together, make a white baby. Two black people get together and make a black baby. They can also make a white baby. That's called being albino. Two white people can't get together and make a black baby. It's not possible. Don't get it twisted. Blackness is greatness. Blackness is dominant. Keep your heads up.
Did you know that black people only have 0.3% Neanderthal DNA? Every other race on the planet has 1 to 2%, and black people have 0.3. So in reality, black people are more human than any other race on this planet. These white supremacists going around saying that they're the peak human, no, sweetheart. Genetically, black people are the superior humans.
Our DNA superior, our RNA superior. Like, we can make any type of looking black person, but you can't do that with other races. Like, it's black people that look white with blue eyes, straight hair. It's all type of different shades of black. Like, black just raw. We the best athletes, best musicians. If they create a sport, we gonna take over that one. Like, we just run this bitch.
Comments were pretty accurate. I think that blacks are a superior gene line. Based upon reproductive survival success, you have to reproduce in order to survive. And blacks have been put under 400 years of slavery, given the worst food, the worst medical care, the worst housing. So that would select out the weaker gene lines. And that's why we would be out of proportionally represented in just about every area we're given an opportunity.
Anybody else notice that you can be 100% black, but you could never be 100% white? When I say black, I just mean Homo sapien. I just mean human. Black people, African people, are the only people in the world, in the entire world, that are 100% Homo sapiens, never mixed with any Neanderthal blood. This is the reason why if I take a DNA test or any other white person does, they are going to have a percentage of African in them. Now, if an Asian person or a Native American person takes a DNA test, it could just say 100% Asian, 100% Native American. But that's because DNA tests only go back a couple thousand years, which means two things. White people were black 2,000 years ago. We were African, and it wasn't that fucking long ago. And two, that means 2,000 years ago, there were Asian people. There were Native American people. We can prove that. But if you go back tens of thousands of years, if you go back even further, even they will have the common ancestor, which is the African. This is why I believe white supremacy is fucking stupid. You're proud of something that could never be 100% achieved. There's no such thing as a 100% pure blood European. Everybody was mixed with Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA, except for black people. African people are the only true humans in this world.
Y'all want to know something that nobody's ready for in 2025 except for those who already seem to know it? Black people are the aboriginals of every continent. Dark-skinned people are the aboriginals of every continent. Native Americans migrated over the ice bridge from Siberia, that would be Asia, and became what we now know as Native Americans. Yes, they lived off the land. Yes, they knew how to give back to it, so therefore they should be considered indigenous. But the people who were on that land before them and the ice bridge even formed were black people. Black people also built pyramids on every continent. That's why there are pyramids on every continent. The Buddha was a dark-skinned man. The Chinese, we have a lot of trouble denying that we come from melanin. We do. We've tried. We have not succeeded. The difference between us and every other group is that we can admit to the fact that we came from melanin. Why can't everybody else? It's not erasure to say that black people were the aboriginals of every country. We're not saying you didn't exist. We're saying you came after. What's so hard to understand? Just like me saying that Koreans came from China. It's not me saying that they don't have their own culture. That's how all of these Korean nationalists took it in my comments. Oh, you're saying we don't have our own culture or genetic identity? No, I'm saying that culture and genetic identity came from us. If you are not tapped in, and you don't talk to marginalized groups, and haven't spent any time with them, y'all gonna be offended by what I'm saying. Some of y'all only research your own identity, and that's it. And that's the only content you make besides your matcha. Black people were here first. Black people were here first. Black people were here first. And whoever that pisses off needs to leave my channel, needs to block me. All the above. Koreans, their genetics, their culture, came from the Chinese. From what is now known as China. And where did the Chinese come from? Black people.
A white dude taught me something when I was in my early 20s that stuck with me ever since then. And something happened yesterday that made me think of that. Now, this was when I was like 22, somewhere in there. My tattoo artist was like, man, you know something about black dudes, bro? When I was locked up, I've been in like a year. I'm working out, trying to get big. No joke. This black dude that was a little younger than me, he came in 3 months later, bro. He bigger than me. Like, bro, y'all genetics is crazy. And it just is defined as y'all muscles get and things like that. And he was like, and the little secret about us white dudes, if you see a white dude that's real jacked up and swole, kind of like how y'all get, he taking steroids. He like, bro, our bodies, we got to cut a lot of corners just to be able to catch up to the genetics y'all got. And I'm like, that was the first time I heard that because I was young. So I want to say yesterday, somebody commented on a video and said, hey, you've been putting on some weight. Are you natural? And it's like, listen, the first time I ever got asked that, I was like 21, 22, and it was a supervisor, a white dude, pulled me to the side. Hey, you know where I can get some steroids? Hell no. And it's the thing. I'm 5'9" and I'm about 180. That's it. If I'm going to fuck up my organs, if I'm going to be having heart problems and you know what else problems come with steroids and stuff like that, I'm getting my money's worth. I'm not going to be 180. I'm going to be 220, 225, and you're going to be able to look and see
his ass is taking steroids. But it's like some of them can't wrap their mind around how our bodies are able to do what they can do, how we are so athletic. And they got to be cheating. Same thing when you are black and become successful. Oh, he must sell drugs. He had to cut some type of corner to be able to be successful and things like that. It's just like, no, we are just the superheroes here on this planet, man. From this universe, we are the superheroes. You see it in sports. You see it just in us as people, how creative we are and how, bro, we are just able to go against the norm of society and we just stand out. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with y'all. A little history lesson. We are able to do what they consider impossible, or to where we had to cheat to be able to get there.
Weird thing about 19th century anthropologists. Okay. They're trying to put white people at the top and black people, they were saying, were still evolving. They were right next to apes. And they completely ignored the hairy white people in the world, okay?
That are more hairier.
Way hairier.
That are more hairy.
Yes, than any black person they've ever seen.
You said something interesting. I saw you say it about the Neanderthal. Yeah. And they compared the Neanderthal to the black man until they found out the Neanderthal was really smart. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah,
Yeah, they read. Yeah, so we grew up. The Neanderthal was the brunt of all jokes.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And plus they didn't make it, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
All right. Then, after we cracked the human genome, early 90s, it's the genome. We can see what's in the genome.
Yeah.
What other branches of evolution showed up in the genome. And they found out that some people have Neanderthal genes in them. So if this was 19th century anthropology, racist anthropology, they say, oh, those are probably the black people because they're still dumb and stupid.
Yeah, right.
Turns out, Europeans, on average, are between 1% and 3% Neanderthal DNA. African blacks, near zero.
Wow.
That's kind of hard to, you got to settle that score if you're one of these anthropologists.
Right.
Beginning in the 1990s, anthropological studies of Neanderthal started describing how inventive and creative they were.
Oh!
And how artistic.
They flipped it up.
And they said, oh, we got it wrong. They're just, they had to fix that image right quick. That's it's up what went on that whole period.
So why do we still fight so much over skin color?
So I don't think it's skin color.
What do you think?
It's just the most obvious way to tribalize someone at a distance.
Okay.
Okay? They have to get a little closer before you know what God they worship. They have to get even closer before you know who they sleep with. You got to get even closer to know what they smell like.
Right.
All right? And the sad part about our species is that evidence shows we are prone to tribalism. If it was just skin color, you'd have never had World War I and II, which are basically white people, white Christians killing and slaughtering other white Christians.
Correct.
For cultural reasons, or their brand of Christianity was slightly different.
Okay.
What's up there?
Right.
Okay. So people will find reasons to want to kill you if you're sufficiently different from them.
Right.
And a skin color, you can see that half a mile away.
Correct.
Right.
So that's the easiest determining factor. Like,
correct,
yeah, you different than me because you don't look like me. Or then when you hear me talk, you don't talk like me.
Correct.
Or if I come into your home where you don't worship the same God, or you don't eat the same food that I eat.
Right.
So now
I eat it at the same time on the same day of the week.
Okay.
Look at the rules.
Yes.
That come with the package. So to me, it's tribal more than it is racial. It's racial just as one manifestation of something that's been there forever.
Right.
Right.
To do your best guess.
I mean, look at how many years did France and England fight each other?
Yes.
Over what? Oh, they speak different languages, okay? And England fighting Spain, okay? They're all Christian.
Right.
They're all white. So yeah, I don't take it personally.
Right.
When people want to kill me for being black. I just say, you're just being tribal.
Right.
And if I were something else, not you, you'd still want to kill me.
Right.
There it is.
That's code Shannon to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup.
Black people, especially those of African descent, carry the highest genetic diversity on Earth. That means that we can have dark eyes, we can also have light eyes, we can also have naturally green or blue eyes, we can have tight coils, loose curls, or bone straight hair. We can be deep chocolate, golden brown, fair-skinned, and everything in between. And yeah, some of us are actually born with naturally blonde hair. I'm looking at you, my Melanesian cousins. Black women are literally the origin of all human life. We carry the mitochondrial DNA that links every single human being on the planet. Black women are the only humans that can produce any other type of human being on Earth. So no, I don't look European. Europeans look like a subset of me, of us. And baby, if I want to wear a wig, switch up my eye color, enhance a feature, or switch up my look at all, I will do that, because historically and still today, Black women have been forced to adapt our appearance just to access jobs, safety, love, basic respect. And as a carrier of the original DNA, I am not seeking validation. I don't need permission to express creativity, whether I'm protecting my peace or just having fun, because I am the blueprint.
Fun fact, without Black people, the white race wouldn't even exist. That's why we cannot mix, because it's really for y'all favor. If everybody mixed, the white race wouldn't even exist, because African have the most dominant gene.
My God. So someone asked if I could do a video on Neanderthals. And I think I already did this video like twice already in the past, but I'll just do it again. Alright, so as y'all should know, scientists have found a new DNA called the Neanderthal DNA. And them finding out this DNA just proved that the stories of the Bible are actually true. See, if y'all have read the book of Enoch, y'all will see how Neanderthals came to be. The Enoch book is a lost book of the Bible. And there's also many, and I mean many, books that have been taken out of the Bible. But if you read the book of Enoch, it will tell you how Neanderthals came to be and where this Neanderthal DNA came from. Also, scientists also tells you that every race contains Neanderthal DNA, except for one race, African modern descendants, aka Black people. Scientists don't even realize that they're proving even more why Black people are actually the true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, the real Jews. One of the scientists was also caught saying that African modern descendants are actually the pure humans of the world. And that's not coming from me. They said that. And also, if you read the Bible, you will actually know that Black people were the first creation. And no, this video isn't about race baiting or anything. It's all about telling the truth. So the Neanderthals came from giants, and the giants came from Nephilims, and the Nephilims came from the fallen angels. See, the Bible speaks about that the fallen angels were supposed to be protecting the humans, but instead they began to fancy them, and they began to do sexual activities with the women and men. And when the fallen angels began to have sexual activity with the men and women, they created their own offsprings, called Nephilims. And when the Nephilims began to have children, they created the giants, like those of Goliath. And when the giants began to have kids, they created Neanderthals. See, when the fallen angels began to lay with the men and women, the humans, they created these different type of beings, which is sort of half human and half fallen angel. It mixed up the two DNAs. See, the Neanderthal skin couldn't be exposed to the sun, so they had to move to a colder climate. And guess where that was? AKA the Caucasus Mountains, which is where they got the word Caucasians from. See, these Neanderthal skin grew lighter and lighter, which created the lighter skin pigmentation, which a lot of these races and ethnicities carry till this day. That's why you will see till this day that a lot of people will say that the whiter skin pigmentation or the paler skins, that it's a mutation, because everyone in the world was melanated at one point. That's why it's kind of crazy when I be seeing people argue about which land is theirs. This is our land, this is our land. Y'all don't even realize that all these lands originally started with all Black people on them. Every Afro person in every part of anybody's land, Afro-Hispanics, Afro-Palestinians, wherever you are, any Afro person is the original people of that land. And it's crazy because Black people get done the worst anywhere they go. And y'all don't even realize that that's really your land. But like I said in another video, y'all don't understand that that was one of the curses put upon us all as a people, along with many more curses. And this video was just about telling everybody the truth. I love you all, and let the truth set you free.
Yes, technically we are the alien. This does get pretty deep. Black people were the original people on this planet. The Anunnaki and I believe 27 other beings came down here and began tampering with our DNA. So Caucasians, Asians, everybody else like that, we're not originally from this planet. Black people are the only race on this planet that actually originate from here and have a connection to this planet. Not saying that, you know, as white people, we don't have a connection to this planet and source as well. We all do. But our DNA was tampered with, and they spliced, like with kind of like CRISPR technology, they spliced varying species DNA into our DNA. David Wilcock had spoken about this, and I believe that's one of the reasons that he was taken out. People also claim that the Greys are us from the future, and we had went down one timeline and went into like transhumanism and lost our reproductive abilities, and that's why they're abducting us and trying to rectify that and make sure we don't go down the same path. And also, so this video doesn't get taken down, these are my opinions for entertainment purposes only. Use your own discernment and make your own decisions as to how you feel, and take what resonates.
Most people don't like realize this, but all racism is just jealousy that has like mutilated so much that now it's like so evil. Like it's legit like the almost final evil form of jealousy. And I'm not talking about like the systemic racism, like the racism that's in the systems that, you know, keep like black people down and keep them in like certain levels type of thing. I'm just talking about the type of racism that's like in people's brains and their opinions and the biases they held, things like that. They're jealous of the things that maybe like black people are capable of, or the natural like bodies or faces that they're born with, or like, I don't know, maybe even like the influence that black people have on things like entertainment and music and even sports and arts. Like just being jealous of like kind of the culture that the black community holds. And mind you, jealousy is a very normal emotion. Jealousy is a normal human emotion to feel. But then when you don't clock your jealousy, when you can't accept your jealousy, you kind of hide it. And the more you try to hide something, the more it mutilates into something really, really evil. It's very similar to misogyny. It's very similar to hating women. Men, like, the thing is that a lot of people who are racist don't even realize they're racist. Like, they'll have like black friends and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But you don't actually look at black people as someone who is equal to you. But yeah, it's like very similar to women, because at the end of the day, a lot of men and women too, like who hate other women and don't even realize it, it's because they're jealous of them. They're jealous of the privileges like women have, and they're very different things. But then once you cross over women and also black women, it just turns into like a whole different ballgame.
I just want to let this fact be known that was known to me as a younger man, and I refuse to believe it because I didn't have the intelligence level to process it, but I'm going to give it to you. The reason that a lot of white men are racist towards black men is because they feel inferior, and they would be right. I mean, we're talking about the same people that we enslaved in this country for hundreds and hundreds of years, and then didn't give them any rights and made them fight tooth and nail for every right that they ever got. And they're still right here next to us doing the same shit that we're doing, and you feel that inferiority.
And just in case you forgot, racism is jealousy disguised as hatred. Literally. Like, let's look at all the traits of a jealous person. What do they normally do? Well, for one, they try to humble you or bully you, just like racist people do. What's another thing they do? They copy you without giving any credit. And sometimes they even go as far as acting like it was their idea or their own creation, when they know they're using your sauce. And what do racist people normally do? They culture appropriate, they use a black scent or AAVE, and they will sit there and act like they didn't get that from black people. And not only that, they will literally act like that's who they are at the core. When they know damn well they're forcing something they're not. And what's another thing jealous people do? They often provoke you so they can run and start a smear campaign against you. And a lot of racist people are notorious for this, but they oftentimes start a problem, then turn around and play victim, and then make the black person the aggressor. So, I mean, when you look at it like that, like, you will come to realize at the end of the day, when somebody is racist, it's simply because they are jealous. That is it. They are not happy in the skin they're in, and they are mad that they're not you. Simple.
My name's Kylie, and I'm obviously white. I grew up in a conservative white family, and I know there's been a lot of discourse about whether white people should talk about racism, and here's my argument for why I think that not only should we, but we have to. A lot of racism in white families occurs behind closed doors. I've been over at friends' parents' places and heard them say some pretty obscene things about people of color, assuming that I am on their side simply because I am white. Obviously, this makes for some awkward conversations when I do call them out, but point being, the depths of the racism and the darkness that seeps in deeply into these families can only, in my opinion, truly be exposed by other white people, because they will never be their full racist selves around anyone who is not white. They like to save face publicly and say that they're not racist, but then again, if you go into their homes and you hear the things they say, that would suggest otherwise. I just encourage you, if you're a white person and you know people like this, please say something. Don't just ignore it for fear of conflict.
After a good 20 plus years of talking day in and day out to white people about racism, I feel very confident to say that there is something profoundly anti-black in this culture. And that nothing seems to turn white people's cranks of resentment, like thinking black people got something over on us that they didn't deserve. And the deeper belief is that they're inherently undeserving. I believe in the white mind, black people are the ultimate racial other. Well, historically, we projected our sins onto the black body, right? Lazy, shiftless, criminal. We projected our sins onto the black body. Right? Today, in addition to doing that, we obscure the system of racism that we uphold, and we exempt ourselves from its forces. Right? And we do this in a way that appears to be progressive, right? That race doesn't matter to us. Number 3 looks at racism after the civil rights movement. And after the civil rights movement, it made a brilliant adaptation. So post-civil rights, racism got reduced to the following formula. A racist is an individual who consciously does not like people based on race and is intentionally mean to them. Always an individual, must be conscious, must be intentional. And that definition exempts virtually all white people from the system of racism. This definition, I believe, is the root of virtually all white defensiveness on racism. It makes it virtually impossible to talk to the average white person about the inevitable absorption of a racist worldview that we get from being socialized in a racist culture in which white supremacy is the bedrock. Because you suggest that anything I have done is racially problematic in any way, and I'm going to hear a question to my moral character. And I'm going to need to defend my moral character. You know, we've probably seen this a million times, right? Resma Menachem talks about, it's really been only in the last couple of decades that people of color have had dominion over their own bodies. And so entitlement to people of color's bodies comes out in lots of ways, right? From just violating the space, to touching the bodies, to expecting you to carry the emotional burden of race, you know, all of that. White people in North America live in a society that is deeply separate and unequal by race, and white people are the beneficiaries of that separation and inequality. As a result, we are insulated from racial stress at the same time that we come to feel entitled to and deserving of our advantage. Given how seldom we experience racial discomfort in a society we dominate, we haven't had to build our racial stamina. Socialized into a deeply internalized sense of superiority that we either are unaware of or can never admit to ourselves, we become highly fragile in conversations about race. We consider a challenge to our racial worldviews as a challenge to our very identities as good moral people. Thus, we perceive any attempt to connect us to the system of racism as an unsettling and unfair moral offense. The smallest amount of racial stress is intolerable. The mere suggestion that being white has meaning often triggers a range of defensive responses. And these include emotions such as anger, fear, and guilt, and behaviors such as argumentation, silence, and withdrawal from the stress-inducing situation. These responses work to reinstate white equilibrium as they repel the challenge, return our racial comfort, and maintain our dominance within the racial hierarchy. I conceptualize this process as white fragility. Though white fragility is triggered by discomfort and anxiety, it is born of superiority and entitlement. White fragility is not weakness per se. In fact, it is a powerful means of white racial control and the protection of white advantage. The unexamined beliefs that prop up our racial responses. I could see the power of the belief that only bad people were racist, as well as how individualism allowed white people to exempt themselves from the forces of socialization. I could see how we are taught to think about racism only as discrete acts committed by individual people rather than as a complex, interconnected system. And in light of so many white expressions of resentment toward people of color, I realized that we see ourselves as entitled to and deserving of more than people of color deserve. I saw our investment in a system that serves us. I also saw how hard we worked to deny all this and how defensive we became when these dynamics were named. In turn, I saw how our defensiveness maintained the racial status quo. We can literally think about it as state-sanctioned, organized crime, but at least discrimination against African Americans from the beginning. And it starts with kidnapping and 300 years of enslavement, torture, rape, and brutality, and it carries on. And about a quarter of the way in, you see bans on testifying against whites, which made it technically legal to murder black people in this country, and you are now in my lifetime. And I'm going to say it again because a lot of white people seem to think it ended a long time ago. We are in my lifetime about a quarter of the way through that slide. And then we see about 2/3 of the way through employment discrimination, and we are in 2018 with copious empirical evidence. Right? So let's pick it up there. Employment discrimination, educational discrimination, biased laws and policing practices, white flight, subprime mortgages, mass incarceration, the school-to-prison pipeline, disproportionate special ed referrals and punishments, testing, tracking, school funding, biased media representation, historical omissions, and so much more. It is a system, not an event. It's the system we're in, and none of us could be, and none of us were exempt from its forces. If we want to be unique and special individuals, then we need to figure out how whatever we see as special and different about us set us up into that system. The question is not if, it's how. Okay. I'm going to repeat it. It's a system, not an event. And how do we cope with the moral trauma of what I just read to you? Resmaa Menakem has a beautiful book, My Grandmother's Hands, where he talks about racial trauma. There's a trauma, I believe, to white people of racism, but I don't think it's a moral trauma, right? And it's a piece of white fragility, not being able to face our complicity in this system. So that definition actually functions to protect racism, even as it looks like progress, right? Racism became bad post-civil rights. This is the root of virtually all white defensiveness, and it just functions so beautifully to exempt us. So we just have to get rid of it. And when white people hear me and they feel angry and pissed off and defensive, can I just say this? Damn, white people are pissy about racism. We are so pissy on this topic. We're mean on this topic, right? And so if you're sitting here feeling that, just see if it isn't rooted in this definition. And if you cannot let go of this, you're just not going to be able to move forward. So aversive racism is a form of what sociologists call new racism, right? And so it's racism that progressive whites are most likely to hold, but because it conflicts with our identities as good people, we're most likely to be in denial about it. Great example of white fragility, and connected to this last bullet here, is the eruption of umbrage and criminalization when a black man simply went down on one knee respectfully. Talking about Colin Kaepernick. What interrupts our racial equilibrium? Well, if you challenge objectivity, if you talk openly about race, right? If you challenge white entitlement to racial comfort, if you challenge to the expectation that people of color will serve us and do our work for us, if you break with white solidarity, you challenge white racial innocence.
I'm just gonna say it, right? If more white people would stand up against racism, we could probably get it to damn near end, y'all. I'll stand up for it. I know racism isn't right, but I need more white people to jump on this train to help me take a stand against racism. There are white people out here, y'all, that's got people thinking that we are all racist when that is not what's going on. So we have got to put a message out to take a stand against racism. Like, I will start it off. I don't care. I will stand alone in it if I have to. But if you're a white person and you're with me on this, help me push the content out. There's only one way to do this, and it comes with just being in unison. That's the only way. There is power in numbers, y'all. I don't care if you're black, Mexican, Indian, Asian, whatever it is that your race, ethnicity is, you don't have to be white for me to like you. And everybody else that feels this way, I need you to get on this train right now.
You're not going to notice racism until you start doing better than white people. Like, you're not going to notice it. A lot of them are not going to say nothing to you. A lot of them can tolerate black people now. Like, that's one thing that I've noticed. A lot of, like, they can tolerate black people just as long as you're in a position that's not, like, making them feel uncomfortable. Like, if you're like in a lower position, you have less money, you have less status or less education, then they feel very comfortable with you. They're not going to say nothing to you. They're not even going to bother with you. Like, by I mean tolerate is like, they can be cordial with you. They can say hello, greet you. Some of them might even be friends with you, but that's on the condition that you are not doing better than me at all. Like, I don't want you having more money than me. And if you do, they're going to become friends with you and then try to get as much information about you to, like, sabotage your life in some way or some fashion. That's one thing that I've noticed. And it's not just white people. This thing is like with Hispanics, Asians. Is the world has this, like, this particular outlook on how black people should be and where we belong in this social hierarchy and social realm.